What is going on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you today. I'm bringing you the 18th episode of the Be a GM series. So, in last video, you saw that we did make the playoffs, and we are actually facing Boston Bruins in the first round. Chris, what do you think about that?
You know, it looks like a good matchup. I think we should have the advantage here. We've got a severely better record, so thinking we'll have the upper hand. And as I said in the last video, I think we should have an easier ride to hopefully the conference finals.
Yeah, you said an easier ride. Definitely being on top of the league definitely helps. But as we look forward to the playoffs, we do want to. I first want to say that we did turn injuries on and goal rotations off, and we do have Craig Anderson in net. So going into game one, do you have an X factor who's gonna put through a goal or two?
I like Cody Ceci in this one, Josh. No, but seriously though, your top three defensemen we looked at in the last video, Ceci, Yandel, and Carlson. I'll put up, I believe, 60 points. I'm looking for them to continue it. It's always good when you have your defense scoring for you. So I'm hoping they'll come through big, not just in this game, but in the playoffs in general.
Yeah, you definitely want everyone to contribute in the playoffs as we go into the third period, down by 1 goal, getting severely outshot. But Palmieri on the fourth line gets a goal on Rask, looking towards the end of the game. Maybe going to overtime if nothing else changes. And with 2 seconds left, Torrey Krug decides to put in a goal on Anderson to win the game 3-2. They do outshoot us yet again. And what is wrong? Why did we lose with 2 seconds left? We couldn't really hold on too much longer with that one. But nothing seems to be an issue as far as injuries. So we will go to game number 2. How can we rebound from the game number 1 loss?
Well, I mean, you got to go onto your fourth line. You got to go on to one of your top 3 defensemen. Your top 6 forwards didn't do anything, and that's the problem. I said before that you need depth scoring, but you also need your top 6 guys to step up and, just be there to provide a baseline for your team to, go by. Another goal by Cody Ceci there, obviously coming up big so far. But, your top 6 guys need to be on the score sheet every single night if you want to win in the playoffs, and that's what it comes down to. And you haven't done that in game 1, or not really right here until Bobby Ryan.
And a goal followed by Alex there. And once we look, like you said, our top line guys definitely need to be on the score sheet at least every night or majority of the nights, and you can't rely on those the depth scoring, even though that's always great. But as we go on the power play, that was like a 4-minute or maybe a major. But Bobby Ryan gets his second of the game to maybe close this game out, and then empty it by Ceci. Wow, Ceci's really coming forward here in the playoffs.
Yeah, Ceci with 3 goals in 2 games. That's huge. Wondering where your top defensive line is. But, it's always good to see all different guys getting on the score sheet. You got your production out of Bobby Ryan tonight with he and Ceci each had a pair of goals. And there goes Keith Yandel, at least for the first round. So I have to call up a defenseman. That's a huge, huge blow to the team when a top-line defenseman goes down with an injury.
Yeah, definitely a huge blow to us. So, obviously, we're going to miss Keith Yandel. But who do you want to bring up here? Because we do have Boro and Wickstrand here, both the same overall and basically the same player.
I'd probably call up Mark Borowiecki at this point. I don't have a problem moving Cody Ceci up to the first line. I think Borowiecki will be able to step right in there on the third line and fill a need with this injury from Keith Yandel.
Yeah, like you said, a huge blow. But Boro fits right in there on the third line. Probably going to be gone after this year either way, unfortunately. But either way, that top line of CC getting 3 goals in the past 2 games will definitely help Carlson hopefully get going here in the playoffs. And then Clefbaum and Trouba, still an offensive line. But either way, definitely expect some points from them. But in case you didn't see it last video, we did make a line change, moving Howden down and moving Alex up. But either way, we're going to go on to, game 3, I believe. And what's not right here? Oh my goodness. As we're going into game 3 going into Boston. What can we look for in order to get this win?
I think Craig Anderson really needs to step up here, Josh. He's only allowed 5 goals in 2 games. Not bad, but I think for your team to win at this point in the playoffs, they need to score 3 goals, and Anderson needs to be superb and allow 0 to 2 goals. As I said, he's been playing all right, and your offense came alive in the last game at least. But if it doesn't keep that up, you're in for a tough road in this first round. Bobby Ryan with his 3rd goal this series, and then 4th back-to-back power play goals. That is huge, huge goals.
Yeah, answered right back by Nikitin, I think. But either way, going towards the last 5 minutes of the game, can we hold on here? We can. Great to see by our team. Two strong goals by Bobby Ryan there in the 3rd period. Back-to-back power play goals. Assisted by Turris got 2 there. But interesting to see. But looking towards our teams, doesn't look like we had any injuries, so that's always good. Hopefully Yandel can come back at least for the second round, if not sooner. And yeah, he looks like he's going to be out for the entire first series. Here's another injury bug. We got injured knee, out for a couple days, about 6 days, I think it seems to be. But I think we only had one other player we were thinking about calling up at this point. But I think it's Wickstrand. That's the last guy there. Do you want to bring him up?
Yep, think so, Josh.
All right, so we're going to bring Wickstrand up, making his NHL debut for us. But that's kind of surprising, but we're just going to kind of move Postma up in that situation and then move Wickstrand on the 3rd line, and if it wouldn't kind of glitch out there. But so the 2 top guys in the AHL are being brought up, and this team is looking pretty injury prone right now. But how do you think that's going to affect us going forward?
Well, it's always good to have a solid top 6 defense lines. So I think it's going to be a big blow. Obviously, Keith Yandel playing in the 1st line. Jacob Trouba, kind of a stud, playing on the 2nd line. Anytime you lose 2 defensemen of any caliber, it's a big blow, especially when you need to call up guys from the AHL. Never something you want to do, but that's what happens when you turn on injuries. Yandel got a couple weeks left, and as Josh said, Trouba should be back in a week, but will most likely miss 2 to 3 of these games coming up, depending on how long it takes to close out the series.
Yeah, definitely with that. We're up 2-1 going into game number 4. And if I forget his name already, but Trouba, I think, will be back for game number 6, I believe that is, or game 5. Game 6, that is. And going into game 4, let's focus on that first. Going into we stayed in Boston for this game. And how can we look to get out of here or escape Boston with a win?
I mean, Anderson played well last time, only allowing 1 goal, and your power play came up huge. So I think that might be your key. Special teams is usually key in games because it tends to happen a lot. It hasn't happened much this game, but Anderson kind of slipping up a bit, 2 goals on 14 shots, but you are being heavily outshot, so that's also a big problem in the game so far.
Yeah, definitely. With 3 straight goals on the power play, answered back by Bergeron on the even strength. I don't know where my team went, or where our team went at least, but Greening definitely still wants to be here and puts up a goal. Quickly answered back by Morrow and Smith right after that. So it looks like this game's pretty much all done and over with. But let's just ride it out for the rest of it. But 6-1 defeat coming out of Boston, I should say. And wow, fighting Boro and okay, so McQuaid. That's kind of interesting. Looks like they did have an injury to I don't know what I'm gonna guess Nick Peterson or something, but they had an injury. It looks like Silfverberg down on minutes. Not really sure what happened there. So hopefully we don't have an injury, but if we do, we obviously have people prepared in Binghamton ready to come up. And there it is, Jacob Trouba coming back for us. So that's good to see. And it doesn't look like we have any other injuries, which is good. So let's take out Boro, because he's the more defensive of the 2. And we'll take him out. We'll move him back up, and that gives us a lefty and a righty on the 3rd line, being a little bit more offensive in Wickstrand rather than Borowiecki. But going into Game 5, going back home, we got Jacob Trouba back. Do you think he can perform here in Game 5?
Well, I mean, I don't really know how much performance you'd look to get out of Jacob Trouba, but your team definitely needs to bounce back from that last loss. 6-1 is a huge defeat. Obviously down on morale, but hopefully returning to home ice helps your team out a little bit. Bergeron got 3 goals in the past 2 games now. That's a huge blow. Anderson kind of slipping up now, kind of showing his true colors as what we thought he was in the last offseason. Kind of struggling here. One goal isn't struggling, but the team isn't doing much to back him up either.
Yeah, definitely agree. With Anderson, obviously we're trying to trade him. Then he comes back, or ends up not being able to trade him because nobody wants his salary. And then coming into the regular season, we kept him as what we thought was going to be a backup, and ends up jumping back up to an 88 overall, and then he ends up being our starter all season long. And then in the playoffs, obviously he's not doing it too great. But a 1-goal game going into the final period here in game number 5. Hoffman finally answers with a power play goal, special teams, and from the first line. Great to see, but Riley Smith says no thank you. They wanted the lead. But Greening, wow, you're actually showing up for once. I like to see it. And going into overtime, unless we have a last-second goal again, do you have a player that thinks is going to come through here?
I'm going to look for Jakob Silfverberg. Hasn't really done much in this series. He needs to get on the score sheet. A third-line right winger playing with Andre Palat and Alex Killorn. Needs something from him to show up.
Yeah, definitely agree with the depth scoring thing again. But I think I'm going to call it. Colin Greening. He seems to be hot lately, and an early power play definitely helps. But not being able to answer. And Cody Ceci gets another goal. So great to see by him. Definitely performing on that first line at the moment with the injury to Keith Yandel. Ceci getting his 4th of the playoffs. Playing 26 minutes there. Almost 27. So that's good to see by him. A lot of players stepping up here in the later games. I didn't really check their team to see if we have any injuries, but it doesn't look like we had any. So I'm going to continue right on to game number 6. Keith Yandel doesn't look to be ready to come back just yet. But going into game 6, what can we expect from the Ottawa Senators here?
Like you said, Hoffman and Ceci are hot right now. Name you haven't seen on the score sheet, at least in the goal category, Erik Karlsson. Need something from him. Mike Hoffman, there he is. Alex Killorn had the first one. So it's always good to have that 2-0 lead. But I'm wondering where Karlsson is. Playing with Cody Ceci or Keith Yandel. He's played with both now. Should be able to do something. All 3 of them very offensively talented. I'm wondering where he is on the score sheet.
Another name you did not mention is Hunter Shinkaruk. 90 overall left wing sniper. Where the heck has he been? We ended up having to pay him
$8 million.
Yeah, $8.4 million in the offseason. We're gonna pay him about $7-ish million, but ends up he got matched in the offseason because we were trying to make room for him before that could happen. But in case you haven't seen yet, there's been a fury of goals here in the third period. Obviously, they don't want us to win very much, but I don't remember who scored. But I think Smith had a hat trick, if I'm not mistaken, and Palat tried to answer back, but didn't work for us with 3 goals directly after that. But either way, Palat gets his first. There's Silfverberg on the board with at least an assist. But either way, definitely not good enough to beat the Boston Bruins here in game number 6. And are we even going to a game 7? We are going to a game 7. So going into game 7, kind of on the on and off streak here. I mean, we lost the first game 3-2, won the next 2 games, lost in a big fashion, and then going back home we win and then lose and then home. So if we look to keep going here, what do you think the score is going to be?
I'm looking at probably a 5-3 game. Hopefully, the Senators will come out on top. But I'm looking at 5-3. I don't think either of these goaltenders have been able to stop the high-powered offense. Not sure why, because they are both very solid goaltenders. But, most of the games have been high-scoring, and expecting some more of the same, although not so far.
Yeah, with Hoffman putting that one in, I don't remember who scored the first one. But now it's a 2-2 game. David Krejci going into the third period. Do you have an X factor here in the third period?
I want Hunter Shinkaruk to come in here and score a hat trick.
But going into the third period, 5-on-4 power play, nothing answered. Another one, then the Aegon one. So couple penalties late in the third period. Are we going to go to overtime, or is it going to be a late goal? So we are going to go to overtime, and I'm going to stick with Hunter Shinkarik. Definitely need to put it on the scoreboard, and if any time's to earn your contract, now's the time. So let's hopefully not there's a really early goal, but definitely hope it goes in our favor. If not, it's going to be the 4th year in a row. And Riley Smith, I don't like you anymore, just so you know. But either way, 4th year in a row that we end up losing in the first round. Definitely not what you want to see, but with a couple of injuries to some of our top guys, definitely not helping very much. But, wow. I don't even know what to think right now, guys. I really don't. But either way, we're going to simulate up to the... Actually, we're not going to simulate anywhere. We're going to probably wrap it up here, and then in the next video, we're going to come back in and try to rebuild our team. I shouldn't say rebuild it, but just get those extra pieces that we needed this year that we couldn't have, or they got injured or whatever. Or look towards our future and see what's going to go on. But either way, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Chris, you got anything else to say on this disappointing loss again?
I just want to say that I'm very disappointed in the team.
But either way, Hunter Shinkarik, definitely a guy we want to perform, ended up not performing at all. But either way, guys, I think I'm going to end it here. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and comment to what you think of the 4th loss in the first round. 4 times in a row, obviously. But either way, guys, that's in the video, and I'll see you later.